When I think of a time my grandparents and great grandparents lived in, I think of a time of vibrant community. I see neighbors that know each other and like each other. I see friends coming over in the evenings to play cards. I'm thinking of fun social events like dinner parties, Sunday church, church picnics. And I'm also thinking of the entire community gathering near for marriages, births, and deaths. But when I think of my generation and the generations coming up the world behind it, I see a very different image. I see people with maybe only a few friends, or maybe none at all. Somehow we've created a lonely generation, and it happened very quickly, in less than a century. But what happened to make this possible, and what can we do about it? Well, that is exactly what I want to dive into today. Greetings and welcome to Community Centered, where we talk about what community is, why community matters, why you matter to community, and most importantly, how to start cultivating it wherever you are right now. I'm Ellie Whittekins. I'm a millennial, and up until a few years ago, I didn't know what community was. For the most part, in my 20s, as a 20 something, living alone, on my phone all the time, my life was basically work, home, that was it. Not going out, not seeing friends very frequently and it was a lonely existence. Now, I'm happy to say that is no longer my life, but quite frankly, when I was in the midst of it, I had no idea where to begin. And I know a lot of people who are still in that probably feel the same way. So, what I wanted to do with this channel and specifically with this episode is look a little bit about how we got to where we're at and talk about what we can do to start bringing community into our lives and living rich social lives once again. Back in the day, when my mother was very young, her parents used to get together in the evenings with the neighbors to play cards. And I'm talking every evening. They would get together at one person's house or another person's house, sit with a deck of cards, and play throughout the evening. That's difficult for me to even imagine. I mean, I've lived at the same address now for 11 years, and I don't even know my neighbors' names. I have never stopped to talk to them, and I can't tell you when the last time I played cards was. Now, for my generation, our evenings usually involve, well, what you're doing right now, watching a video or a TikTok. Maybe it's binging something on a streaming service, or it's doom scrolling on social media. It doesn't really matter which one of those it is for you because they all require the same thing: isolation. This slow progression of technology is at the heart of our decision to give up our rich social lives for lives of isolation. And it began less than a century ago. By 1959, 90% of American households owned televisions. At that point in time, there wasn't too much that you could watch on TV because there wasn't that much on the air. But in 1980, CNN launched 24/7 programming on their station. I just want you to kind of comprehend for a second. So, kids born in the 1960s who are teenagers or maybe 20 years old by 1980 have grown up with a television being normal in the home. And for them, television wasn't anything harmful because you had a limited amount that you could watch. So these people were still going out and being social, and it just isn't a big deal. Television to them wasn't going to be harmful to them. But they bring it into their homes now that they're adults, and you're starting to get this ramping up of station programming where it's going to start eating into more and more time. If you fast forward, you have the next big technological advancement. In 1999, 50% of American households owned both a PC and internet. YouTube, which is the most widely used online platform, launched in 2005. Facebook launched in 2006, and Netflix started streaming in 2007. In 3 short years, you had an all-you-could-watch buffet online, and more than 50% of the population was set up to indulge in it. Think about it for a second. This is a generation that grew up with cable television and its ever-expanding list of channels and programming, and internet in the home. And you used it every day. Why would you not, as an adult, come home from a long day's work, settle in your cozy clothes, and watch to your heart's content? Except it's been over 18 years since those three big names launched, and nobody's content. We're all realizing that we have no social lives, that we're lonely, that we're depressed, that we're isolated. And what's really horrifying is no one knows what to do about it. And now everyone's asking the question of what are the next generations going to look like? What are they going to have to deal with? What is going to be normal for them? A 2024 Pew Research poll found that 95% of teens have access to smartphones, 88% have access to desktops or laptops, and 83% have access to video games. In fact, in 2017, it was found that 43% of adults said that they play video games, but in 18 to 29-year-old men, 72% said that they play video games. I think it's fair to say of the younger generations that they will grow up in a world where they build lives for themselves, lives that they love, in a virtual world instead of in the real world, far more than it has been for past generations. Here's the most important thing to understand about social media. It requires isolation. It absolutely requires it because you have to have a screen in front of your face in order to use it. You have to actually invest time in that screen instead of in people. And we're clearly not investing time in people. A Time Use survey found that Americans spend 248 minutes a day on TV, radio, and leisure, but only 44 minutes a day seeing friends. If you multiply those amounts out for a whole year, you would have 62 days a year that we spend on TV, radio, and leisure, and only 11 days on friends. Now, you tell me, which one are we choosing to invest our time into? It is impossible to make friends this way. You can't do it with a screen in front of your face, and you can't do it when it's competing for your time. I said I would answer the question, what do we do about loneliness? The fact of the matter is, loneliness is just a symptom of the isolation we've all been participating in. The first thing we need to do is realize that these devices are keeping us from other things. That might be time with family, that might be reaching out to a friend, that might be going to a concert, that might be volunteering for your community. But it is keeping you from something. And it is a one or the other type decision. You can choose to doom scroll, or you can choose to go meet a friend for tacos. You can choose to binge watch another subpar show, or you can choose to join a class and go make friends. You can choose to turn on your church's Sunday service and ignore it while you scroll on your phone, or you can choose to actually show up to church, shake some hands, and ask people how they have been doing. Those are simple choices all of us can make to not be so lonely. My grandparents and great-grandparents did all those things. Not necessarily because they chose them, but because those were the things available to them at the time. But we have some choices to make now, and we need to choose socialization over isolation. And we need to do it before another generation gets stuck in this isolated lifestyle. You know, I hear a lot online about what millennials and Gen Z think the boomer generation left to us. But we're adults now, and we make our own decisions about our lives. And sadly, the boomer generation isn't going to be around much longer. Spoiler alert. So now that I've answered your questions, I have a question for you. What do millennials and Gen Z want to leave to the next generation? What are we hoping that Generation Alpha and Generation Beta will say about us in 30 years? Leave it in the comments below, and join me here next time for How to Build Your Community Here and Now.